Welcome to Lazov's Army of Darkness, the Army of Shadows. Hope you're excited. As far as opening hand goes, yes, this is lovely. We're definitely going to keep on this one. We have Moxie Amber, we have Sword of Fire and Ice, we have Doom Whisperer, which is basically just pay 2 life, put 2 cards in the graveyard, which is just, I love it. Let's go ahead and get down Flooded Strand, and just in case they have some sort of hand disruption, we'll go and lead off with Moxie Amber. Probably not, but we'll at least just go and get it down. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. But yes, welcome to some Lazav. Hope you're excited for some really fun stuff. Now, this is a very interesting build of Lazav, and I will kind of talk about it here in a second. But let's cover our commander. So, we are playing Lazav, the Multifarious. And then let's go ahead and crack Flooded Strand. It's going to grab Fetid Pools, enters. Yeah, it's going to enter the battlefield tapped. And then let's see what we draw into. Drawn to Blighted Agent. Let's go ahead and get down Underground Sea, and let's go ahead and go for Lazav. I like that. Let's go ahead and get the Surveil going. And then Baleful Strix, we will... Actually, I don't mind... Yeah, let's go and put that on top of our library. I don't mind getting a card draw off of that. And then anything else, we'll go and pass the turn to our opponent. We're playing Lazav. Whenever Lazav enters the battlefield, Surveil 1, which we can put in... Basically, Scribe, but you can put it into the graveyard. Then, for an activated ability, becomes a copy of target creature card in your graveyard with converted mana cost accepted is still Lazav, in addition to its other things. So we get down Ancient Tomb. That will be just enough to go for Sword of Fire and Ice. Yeah, that's a pretty good chunk of damage right there. I think I like that. Let's go and get down Ancient Tomb. Let's go for Sword of Fire. Now, this is going to be 1-2. Get down, get this onto Lazav, and then we'll be able to deal some damage. Next turn, we'll worry about getting down Baleful Strix, and then also going for Doom Whisperer. Okay. It's really easy with like a full life total and getting down Doom Whisperer to basically start charting through your library. And so we're going to try to at least just wait till we need to do it as quickly as possible. So let's go and go for Sword of Fire and Ice, 2 damage up top. That allows us to draw an additional card, draw the Marsh Flats, and then anything else, we'll go and pass the turn to our opponent. We're playing against Creepy Baby, the official Creepy Baby of Commander, Mr. or Mrs. Child of Alara. Trample, whenever Child of Alara dies, destroy all non-land permanents that cannot be regenerated. I don't like playing against Child of Alara because it's so creepy looking. Alright, so opponents will have Reclamation Sage, just going to keep that Sword of Fire and Ice in check, so that we'll take care of that. More than likely, we'll probably get down Doom Whisperer this turn. Draw the Jace, and then, yeah, let's go to get down Doom Whisperer. It allows us to do some really nice things sometimes. So we're going to get down Urborg, that way we're not taking 2 damage off of Ancient Tomb. Let's go and get down Doom Whisperer. That's going to be tap Ancient Tomb for black. Alright, get down Doom Whisperer, and then let's go ahead and push in for 1. I guess if they want to trade with a Reclamation Sage, they certainly can. And then we'll go and pass the turn to our opponent. But yes, this is basically kind of like a blue-black Tezzeret deck. You know, I started to build Lazav, and I realized that there's a lot of fun stuff you can build with Lazav as far as Reanimate or different things like that. But I found that kind of building like this weird Tezzeret shell was, I don't know, I just kept getting drawn to it. And I couldn't stop building that. So that's kind of what we've got going on. Have a lot of really good equipment in here. If you've ever used it in a commander deck, we have it in here. We have Sword of Feast and Famine, Fire and Ice, War and Peace, Uazamas Jitte, Sword of the Animus. We have Mask of Memory in here, Skull Clamp. Of course, we have a Skull Clamp with a bunch of 1/1s in here. And there's just a ton of really good stuff. So, game plan is basically kind of get Lazav down as one of our quick Voltron beaters. Either get Jace or something like Baleful Strix into the graveyard that's going to allow us to have flying. Or we can get Blighted Agent into the graveyard, put a bunch of equipment onto Lazav, and then start swinging it at our opponent. So I just really found that giving Lazav unblockable and then putting a ton of equipment on it really helped him put some combat damage on our opponent. Let's go and go for Doom Whisperer. We're not really seeing a ton of threat from our opponent. Let's go and put Looter into the graveyard. I kind of like Jace on top of the library. Yeah, let's go for one more pay 2 life Surveil, and then Swiftfoot Boots. Let's go and put that into the graveyard. Let's see Jace on top. And let's go again. Command Tower. Let's go and put that into the graveyard. We'll put Jace on top. And then one more. Why not? Let's go. Okay, this is going to be the last one. Let's go and put that into the graveyard. And we'll put Jace on top. Alright, so we have Jace on top. We have a fetch land. That at least allows us to kind of shuffle up the top part of our library. And if we want to, we can actually put stuff on top and then Surveil with Doom Whisperer to put it into the bin. Let's go and get down Marsh Flats. Let's go and go for Jace. And we're going to tap down Ancient Tomb. Excuse me, Urborg. Let's go and go for the Brainstorm ability. And we're drawn to Ornithopter and Careful Study. Let's go and put Ornithopter on top. Actually, if you want to dump 2 into the bin, let's put Ornithopter on top of the library, and we're going to put Blighted Agent on top of the library. Let's go for Doom Whisper Surveil 2. It's going to put that into the graveyard, put that into the graveyard, and then we can have Lazav become a copy of Ornithopter if we want to, and then become a copy of Blighted Agent. So let's go and do that. That way it's going to have flying, and we don't have to worry about anything, and we'll also get down Baleful Strix off this Marsh Flight. So let's go and push in. Actually, let's just go and swing in with Doom Whisper. Or do we want to get in for a... Because either way, if we get down Jace, we can still block with Reclamation Sage. But either way, we're going to be tapped out. You know what, let's leave up Doom Whisper. There we go. Alright, so we're going to go and swing in with Lazav. It has flying. Let's go ahead and tap this for black. Actually, we'll go and crack it. That way we'll grab one of our dual sources. So I'm going to grab Water Grave. Let's go and chuck that in, and let's go ahead and have Lazav become a copy of Blighted Agent. And that's going to knock him down to 1, and then anything else we're going to pass turn our opponent. I just realized that Blighted Agent is unblockable too. I forgot. I mean, I knew it was unblockable, but I just forgot for a second. So we didn't technically have to go for that Ornithopter activation. So we'll keep that in mind for sure. That's something that, opponent's going to get down Sword of Feast and Famine, so they're at least going to be able to kind of put some pressure on Jace, or at least take care of Jace if they want to. So that puts us in a position to where protection from black and green. We can get down Jace to be a blocker on Reclamation Sage, but one of the good things about Reclamation Sage, at least Sword of Feast and Famine, is that they have to deal combat damage to us to get rid of that. Let's go ahead and discard. I'm going to get rid of Swamp at this point right now. I don't mind digging a little bit deeper with careful study. Okay, an opponent's going to tap down for Gilded Lotus. So one thing that we can do is if we want to simply just bounce Reclamation Sage back to the hand, we certainly can. That would allow them to recast Reclamation Sage. They would target our Mox Amber, but at the end of the day, I'm not too worried about that Mox Amber. We've got some pretty good infect damage we can put on our opponent, and then Doom Whisper. Great Stable Stag. I hadn't seen that card in a long time. Can't be counter protection from blue and from black. Okay. Good thing that's on the ground. And that's basically be protection from a Baleful Strix and pretty much everything that we've got going on our side of the battlefield. We can't bounce it back with Jace either. Okay. We draw into Bajuka Bog. Let's do this. Let's go and go for... Yeah, let's go and go for the Brainstorm ability, because if we can get a piece of equipment and really kind of accelerate this infect damage that we're doing, I kind of like that. Let's go ahead and put Bajuka Bog back on top. We'll put Swamp back on top. Let's go and get down to Catacombs. Let's go and crack Catacombs. That way we can kind of get a fresh look at the top part of our library. Let's go and grab Swamp. Let's go and go for Brainstorm. And we draw into Damnation. That'll definitely be a really good way to kind of take care of what we've got going on our opponent's side of the board. Let's put Swamp on top, and then we'll go and put Mana Vault on top too. Alright, so let's go and push in with 6 and 1. That's going to be Infect coming across. That'll at least be 6 in the air, knocking them down to 18. And then let's go and go for Damnation. And we'll go and float Careful Study mana. Okay, that's going to take care of everybody, and then we could get down Baleful Strix if we wanted to. That allows us to get a card draw. Or, you know, we could simply just go for Jace and get that Jace to flip. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go and get down Jace. That's going to be 1 black. We can get that to flip. We can start to go for that minus ability if we want to. And then next turn we can worry about getting down Lazav. And hopefully we'll kind of dig a little bit deeper and find some of the equipment we have in here. Like I mentioned earlier, we do have some really good equipment. We just haven't seen it yet. So getting down something like Uwazama's Jitte, with our opponent having protection from black and green, getting down Jitte would definitely allow us to kind of get around some of that protection clause. So we'll kind of see. But man, great stable. I haven't seen that card in... it's just funny how long you play Magic and then you come across a card, you're like, I didn't know that was a real Magic card. Like if they just showed me the art, I was like, oh yeah, didn't realize that was the thing. But pretty much the game plan of the deck is once we get some pretty good damage going on our opponent, we can also, we're running 2 copies of Tezzeret in. We have Tezzeret Agent of Bolus and then Tezzeret Artifice Master. So those are both different things that we can get some really good win condition going. So I guess this is kind of like a protection deck with Child of Alara, which is, I don't know, that's pretty cool. I like the thought of that. Alright, so Mana Vault's on top. Let's go ahead, let's go for the Jace activation. Draw a card, then discard a card. And then just so we're not, we'll go and get rid of Swamp, because we can still get down Mana Vault if we need to. That's going to get Jace to flip. Let's go and go for the Brainstorm off of Jace, draw 3 cards. And let's go and put Constable on top, and we'll put Phyrexian Dreadnought on top too. Now we did draw on to go for the Throat, which is really good. Let's go and go for Careful Study. Now how much is Lazav? Lazav should be 4. Yeah, 4 total mana. Let's go and go for Lazav. Alright, so we're going to be able to Surveil 1. Let's go and put Phyrexian Dreadnought into your graveyard. And then that still leaves us up on Go for the Throat. Let's go and go for Careful Study. That way we can just dump a little bit more into the graveyard. Oh, there we go. Gurmag Swiftwing. Let's go and put Swiftwing into the graveyard and then Constable into the graveyard too. Okay, then anything else we'll go and pass the turn to our opponent. Now, if our opponent does end up going for Sword of Feast and Famine, equip onto Mind Reaper or Wind Reaper, we can go for the Throat in response to that. Another thing that they can do this turn is if they want to get down Child of Alara, that's something they can certainly go for. But as far as what we've got going on, we have a Looter in the graveyard, so we can give Lazav Shadow. And at the same time, we also have Phyrexian Dreadnought in the graveyard too. So we can also go for the Shadow activation and have it become a copy of Phyrexian Dreadnought. Now, if we do draw into another piece of equipment, that's where it kind of really amplifies the deck out just a little bit. So let's go for the Throat on this poor little winged creature. And we'll tap black off of Ancient Tomb just to go for that in response to that activation. And that's what makes this deck so much fun, is that when I originally read Lazav, I just kind of like I didn't realize Lazav stayed that creature like the entire time until you go for a next activation. And so I also thought it exiled it out of the graveyard. So I just remember thinking like, oh, Lazav that's cool, but it's not what we want to get going. And then I played against it one time and I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Lazav's a lot of fun. And so, but there's also a lot of fun interactions like Ornithopter in the graveyard. You can have it become a flying creature for 0 activated ability, come across some of those equipment, then have it become one of your bigger creatures or something like that. So, pretty cool. Alright, so opponent's going to get down Sword of Fire and Ice and Sword of Feast and Famine with 3 mana open. So we'll see what sort of equips they end up going for. Okay, then we'll go for Sword of Fire and Ice equip on the Child of Alara. And I do apologize, I was trying to count mana on Lazav, and I just now realized I didn't go for Jace activation last turn. So we went for the activation off Jace, and I think that's why I kind of disregarded Jace. So I did not go for that activation, just want to keep that in mind. So we draw into Mask of Memory, which is not going to give us any sort of power or toughness bonus. Let's do this. Let's go and go for the, we need to dig as deeply into our library as possible. That's going to be Intuition, Night Veil, and then Island. Yeah, let's go and put Island on top, and we'll go and put Night Veil Sprite on top too. Let's go and go for the Jace activation. So what we can do is we can cast an instant or sorcery. It's going to take care of Child of Alara, then it's going to destroy all non-land permanents, which is going to take care of a lot of our opponent's side of the board, which I think we can bounce back from that. In fact, let's go and go for that. Let's go and go for Lazav activation, becoming a copy of Ornithopter, because nothing has flying over there. Let's go and swing across for 0. And then we'll have Lazav become a copy of Phyrexian Dreadnought. Okay, that's going to be 12-12. That's going to put them down to 18 total commander damage and knock them all the way down to 6 life total. Let's go for the Jace activation, -3. Let's go and cast Damnation. That way we can at least kind of clean up the board state. And it'll also get rid of a lot of their really good stuff over there. Let's go and add that mana to our mana pool. Let's go for Damnation. That's going to send Child of Alara back to the command zone. And then let's go and get down Baleful Strix. And we did go for both activations off Jace and Jace. Okay, anything else, we'll go and pass the turn to our opponent. So next turn, we do need to get down Lazav, because that's going to allow us to at least still kind of go for that Phyrexian Dreadnought activation. But since we do at least have Baleful Strix, which is a flying creature, if we can somehow get a little bit lucky and get down one of our pieces of equipment, get that kind of power and toughness bonus going, that might allow us to hopefully kind of clean it up on our opponent. Now, we do have Yahini in here, which is going to be one of our haste options. So what we can do is, if we have haste, we can somehow use intuition to get Yahini either into our hand or into the graveyard. So we'll see exactly how that's going to work out for us. But that is, I think, one of the only haste creatures that we do have in here. Another creature that we do have is Bantu. Bantu is indestructible and does have menace. So that's something that can allow us to kind of push past a board state like this. So our opponent's actually going to end up with some They go, oh, and that's really nice. They have Mimic and then Phyrexian Metamorph coming in as a copy of Baleful Strix. So that's some really nice value off of that. Ooh, we're also going to see Primetime coming down. Search your library for 2 lands. So we'll see what sort of lands they search above for Primetime. We're going to go for Temple of Mystery and Coffer, since we do at least have Urborg on our side of the battlefield. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we can go for Intuition during our upkeep. That's going to give us a fresh look at Jason Mind Sculptor, and going for Jace's -3 ability if we wanted to. Excuse me, plus up on that one. But Intuition will give us a fresh look, and we do have Mana Vault to at least kind of give us a little bit of extra mana. So we'll see exactly how we want to sequence this. But we can still, I guess at this point right now, something like sort of Feast and Famine would definitely allow us to kind of push past with Baleful Strix. We'll see what sort of... I'm really tempted to go for this Intuition, because that's going to be a really nice mix in the graveyard. Okay, so we've got Baleful Strix, which I'm going to have to say, like, I don't know, I don't think Baleful Strix could hold both of those swords, but that's what makes Magic fun. Do we want to go for Intuition right now? Yeah, because we're staring down Primetime, we're staring down Baleful Strix. We need to somehow kind of take care of some of these creatures. Now, this is the downside, is, yeah, let's go and go for Intuition. That's going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to have 5 total mana. Let's get this popped out. Now, one thing that we can grab that is really interesting is going to be Armory Automaton. So we grab that. That's going to basically allow us to get all of the equipment from our opponent. They can still re-equip on some of that stuff, but it's still going to give some protection. With Cyclonic Rift, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go down to 4. That'll be 7. Cyclonic Rift, let me see. That's going to be 7. That should be just enough. So we're going to grab Cyclonic Rift. That's going to allow us to at least kind of bounce everything back to their hand. And then let's see if there's anything else that'll really help us. And we're going to go for Toxic Deluge. Yeah, I kind of like that. All right, there we go. So we're going to go for Armory Automaton, Cyclonic Rift, and Toxic Deluge. Click done. Let's see what they want to give us off of this. Unfortunately, if I'd gone for that Jace activation earlier in the game, that would have put us at a +3. We could have gone for -1 and been online for either one. So we'll see which one they want to give us off of this Intuition pile. Okay, so we do get Cyclonic Rift. Let's see what we draw into. Draw into Mana Crypt. I'll take that. Let's go ahead and go for Jace's ability. Let's go ahead and plus up on Jace. Let's go ahead and target Baleful Strix. Let's go ahead and get down Mana Crypt. Yeah, man, we need to get some stuff going. Let's go and get down Mana Vault. Actually, let's go and get Jace's Brainstorm ability going. We're going to put Hedron Archive on top of our library, and let's go ahead and put Mask of Memory on top. Actually, we'll go ahead and put, Mask of Memory on top. Let's get the land drop down. Let's go and go for Cyclonic Rift Overloaded. Okay, let's go and push in with Baleful Strix for 1. It's going to knock them down to 5, and then we'll go and get down a Night Val Sprite. Yeah, we're going to get that down because that's also going to allow us to get a little bit extra surveil going, possibly, whenever it attacks. And then we activated both planeswalkers. Okay, we're going to pass the turn to our opponent. Now, one thing that we do have is going to be Toxic Deluge. So depending on how the Mana Crypt and the Mana Vault stuff goes, we're looking at least 1 damage from Mana Vault. And the Mana Crypt trigger, that's going to put us down to 8. So that puts us in a position where we might be able to Toxic Deluge a lot of this stuff out of the way. One of the good things about Cyclonic Rift is we're able to at least kind of bounce back a lot of that really good mana-producing stuff from our opponent. So hopefully with some sort of tempo play, we can survive this one. Our life total is getting down pretty low. Opponent's going to get down Thran Dynamo, and with them getting down that Mana Reflection, that really allowed them to at least rebuild some of their board state. Probably looking at Primetime coming down too, which is going to allow them to get in some pretty good, get a few more lands on the battlefield. Okay, so we're gonna have the Mana Vault trigger, also have the Mana Crypt trigger. Yeah, let's go choose tails on this one. Keep our fingers crossed that we... Oh, no, we lost the flip. Okay, that's not good. That puts us down to 6. Not gonna pay for Mana Vault because we probably need as much mana as possible. That's gonna put us down to 1. And then we draw into that Mask of Memory. Okay, so let's get Lazav pop back up. Once again, we have no haste option out of the graveyard. Let's go ahead and go for Jace's ability. Draw 3 cards. Fire Shrieker, Hedron Archive, and Infiltrator. And actually, I think with Fire Shrieker, okay, let's go ahead and put Hedron Archive on top. We'll go ahead and put Wharf on top. Let's go ahead and get down Fire Shrieker. Because I think if we go for the -3, protection from blue and red, we can go for the Throat. Be able to target Baleful Strix. Oh! Go for the Throat as non-artifact creature. Oh, that is a bummer. Dang it. Oh, man. I forgot it's non-artifact, and that is an artifact creature. Let's get down Fire... Man, I got really excited about that. Oh, that's a bummer. Let's get down Fire Shrieker. Yeah, at least we're going to get down Baleful Strix. Well, it's going to have protection from blue and red, too. Let's go and get it onto Night Veil, I guess. That way we can at least just get some sort of double, get that Surveil going. Oh, that's a bummer. That's got me really bummed. Let's go and get down Hope of Gearpore. Let's go and swing in with Night Veil Sprite. Get the Surveil 1. We're going to put that into our graveyard. It's going to knock them down to 2. And then I guess at this point, we're still just going to get down Mask of Memory, or if we actually want to put a Fire Shrieker onto Hope of Gearpore. Yeah, let's go and do that. We're going to put Fire Shrieker on Hope of Gearpore. It's going to be 1, 2. And we're still going to get down Mask of Memory. Okay, we're going to pass the turn to our opponent. So, yeah, sorry about that Go for the Throat play. That's one of those, as the game wears on, like, the way I kind of evaluate cards while I'm giving commentary is, you know, I just know Go for the Throat's in the graveyard. I'm like, hey, that's destroy target creature. And, like, you know, it's just really quick. You know, we're playing Commander, which has over a ton of cards to kind of keep track of in your head. And so one of the easiest ways for me to deliver commentary while, oh, we got First Strike and Haste, so that's going to be pretty good. So, good game to our opponent. I'm still going to go and post this one. I know this is a really clunky game, but you kind of see what the deck was about. And we almost had, if this Go for the Throat, if I didn't just completely forget that Baleful Strix was an artifact creature. But yeah, like I was mentioning, destroy target non-artifact creature. Like, I don't read every single card. I just know in my head Go for the Throat is a removal spell, and very randomly doesn't really come up that you're targeting an artifact creature. But since they did make a copy of Baleful Strix that is an artifact creature, and that does allow them to swing in. Now, we can still kind of survive just a little bit. Well, not really, because we've got Baleful Strix swinging across. We block on Hope of Gearpore with the Chroma. Protection from black and red. It's going to have trample. Yeah, either way, they're getting the Sword of Fire and Ice damage going through. So good game to our opponent. Unfortunately, this is not the best of gameplay, but this is one of the first few games that I am recording with it. So, but I'm still going to go and post it up because it was definitely an interesting match, getting some of that stuff going. It really did hurt us that we could not get some of our equipment going. You know, we've got a lot of cool equipment in here, but we could only really see Sword of Fire and Ice, and then we just kind of kept digging through our library and couldn't find some of that stuff. So, opponent's going to make another copy of Baleful Strix and get a ton of mana. So we'll go and let them kind of get this turn going and see how they decide to swing in. Okay, so we got Baleful Strix swinging across for 3 and Anachroma, both with their very own swords, and that will be more than enough to go ahead and close it out. So good game to our opponent. It was a really good game. Like I mentioned, you know, as the game wears on and I'm playing a new deck, I'm worried about explaining what the new deck's doing. So sometimes my mind is just kind of elsewhere, not 100% focused on the game. But that's part of delivering commentary while delivering gameplay. It's just kind of like a give or take, so it's like a tug of war sometimes. You kind of miss out on certain things. So, but good game to our opponent. Definitely enjoyed it. You can definitely see what this deck is trying to do. If we could have found Tezzeret, Black Blue Tezzeret, if we could have found another piece of equipment, that definitely would have allowed us to kind of maybe get that last little live total. But our opponent will take it on this one. Get down a ton of mana with Mana Reflection and stuff like Prime Time, and it's really easy to take advantage of that. So good game to our opponent, and if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.